Faced with Boko Haram insurgency in the northern part of the country, the Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon, with the Seleka rebel threat from the eastern part of the nation, and increased insecurity in some parts of the country, like in the littoral region and central region, alongside also with an increase in prices of basic commodities across the national territory. National unity, to some political pundits, seem to be hanging on a pendulum scale, swaying to the left and to the right. Can an Anglophone presidency help in establishing and consolidating national unity, reduce the threat of insecurity in the northern part of the country and the northwest and southwest region, help stabilize the prices of basic commodities? 50 years on since national unity, can an Anglophone presidency help consolidate a national unity? This is House of Commons with me, Tah Mai Jarvis. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching us wherever you are, you're watching House of Commons on My Media Prime Television, the African Eye. We are emancipating from the Canapsat Channel 309 and Amos Satellite Amos 17. And today's edition, we are looking at Anglophone presidency. Will it be effective in promoting national unity, good governance, and democracy within the country? And here in the studio, we have our guests, and also out of Cameroon, we have our guests who will be talking about the issue of if an Anglophone presidency can be effective in promoting national unity and integration, democracy, and good governance. I begin in the United States of America, where we have Mr. Ngalim Bernard, who has been is a panelist with us. Mr. Ngalim Bernard, happy Sunday. Zangalim, happy Sunday. I don't know if Mr. Zangalim, you're getting me. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, Jarvis.
It's a privilege.
It's nice to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, also we have Anye. Happy Sunday to you, Mr. Anye.
Happy Sunday, Mr. Jarvis, and thank you. Nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us.
The audio is
And also here in the studio, we have Mr. Ignatius. Mr. Ignatius, who is a member of the civil society. Mr. Ignatius, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, Jarvis. Happy Sunday to televiewers of House of Commons. I believe that God created people with different mentalities so that if these mentalities are harmonized, they will do great things. And that's one thing that the Cameroonians need to know, that we have different mentalities that need to be put together for a great nation to be built. Once more, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Also, here in the studio, we also have Nick Anu. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you, Tah Mai Jarvis. Happy Sunday to our televiewers all over the world.
And thanks for joining us. And also here in the studio, we have the Deputy Communications Person of the Deputy Communication Minister of the Cameroonizer Movement, Fai Evistayong. Fai Evistayong, happy Sunday, and thanks for joining us all the way from the town of Legendary Hospitality.
Thanks very much, Mike Jarvis. It's a blessed day being here. And of course, greetings to all the level-headed panelists who are present. And the greetings to the President-elect, Professor Maurice Kamto, while advocating for the kangaroo system to release all those who have been incarcerated in the various dungeons across the national territory for no just cause. But then, business amongst other things, greetings to the people of Azri, as cool as usual, who are equally part of the House, talk about Barrister Divine Mumulu, and the General Manager, the host of other board of directors, as we get set to take Buea by storm comes Saturday, of course, June 4th, with several things with the Dio of Boya, who will be our patron for that special day. Thank you very much.
You know,
I'm present.
It's not easy to come from the town of legendary hospitality where you need to have 4 hours and double.
Yes, it's not easy. We've been able to even to live from Boya. You know, Boya now is fast becoming just like Douala. You can't tell somebody that you are in Bongo Square and you tell him that wait for me at my 17 the next 5 minutes, as it was the case before. Now, sometimes you might tell him that wait for me in the next 15 minutes and you arrive there 1 hour later. So the same scenarios, and it's just for the fact that we have a kangaroo system that does not take into cognizance a good planning project for the nation. That is, you have cars are removed every day. From the Douala port, I carried out the statistics. We have at least 15 cars that leave the Douala autonomous port every day. I mean, every day. Now, talk less of those that are coming from Cotonou via Nigeria that are driven in, or those that are coming in from northern Nigeria, Sokoto, Maiduguri, into the national territory. So you put all of them together, you discover you have an approximate of not less than 40 cars or to 50 per day that get into the national territory, yet the road situation remains the same for years. So we have every reason. If you come to Ndoba, as we're talking about, I start asking myself, do we have people who reason? When you have kangaroo brains, you find where we are. They're supposed to, that road you find Ndoba that talking about, that was harboring 3 regions. It's abnormal. Northwest region, West region, and Southwest region. That's the particular road. But if these people were not sleeping governments or sleeping administrators, it should have been done on them that in Bonamusadi, if you want to go to the West region, there should have been a road linking. You leave from wrong point straight to Bonamusadi. If you are going to Mbanga and all the like, without necessarily going through that way. Now, if you are coming into Yaoundé, there are supposed to be 2 different ways that get in. Now, when you have one main road, and the road itself is also breaking for concern because it's not even a 2-3 lane road as per se. So at the end of it, the bus at Bikoko going to Bonanjo is not supposed to pass right to wrong point. No, it's supposed to have its own road that cuts across. If we had these systems, it would have decongested the road. But now, more vehicles come in, the government receives revenue every day on those cars. The cars have documents, which means money is entering, but to plow it back, they always spend time embezzling and fighting war, which is costly. We call it a useless war.
Thank you very much. I think that was to kickstart the program because I quite spent a lot of time when I was going to Boya yesterday and back, and that's been the norms. It's a new normal.
No, it's a normal phenomenon.
Nobody seems to care about the situation.
No, nobody seems
to.
And then the worst of it, Jarvis, is that as I tell you, these hoodlum officials, I'm sorry to use the hard word. No, excuse me.
No, fine. You cannot call them.
Yes, you will say no.
You cannot
I bear responsibilities.
No, I know you bear responsibilities.
I bear it why?
But you cannot
tell me that you are moving to Boya. A so-called official comes with police officers, they stop people and he moves. These officials were supposed to come and see if an official, I tell you from Yaoundé, going to Boya, spends 4 or 5 hours as we are spending, the story in Yaoundé will be different.
They are not hoodlums, sir.
I say hoodlums.
No.
I say hoodlums because they are making us to suffer.
They are not.
Yes.
They are not.
I assume it is because if leaders cannot people live well, it means that something is wrong with them.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
If you are in that position, you will call hoodlums because you call.
If I fail to respect what people want, I should call hoodlums.
Thank you. I'll begin with you, Galim, on the topic of today. We are looking at Anglophone Presidency. Will it be effective in promoting national unity, good governance, and democracy 50 years after national unity? What balance sheet do we have, and what difference can an Anglophone presidency make?
Thank you, Jarvis. This is a very important question, not because we are looking at a presidency, but because we are looking at what presidents should do. First of all, a president is an institution. Secondly, the institution functions within a system. And thirdly, the institutionally survives if that system has checks and balances. Now, if we take it out of the Cameroonian context and we just want to look at the presidency per se, we should be looking at the presidency as an institution that represents the people. In a democracy, the presidency should represent the people and not individuals or not political parties. But in a situation where we have political parties as the only means to the presidency, we are compelled to look at the presidency as a representation of a political party and not a representation of the people. This then brings the question, does the presidency represent the people or does the presidency represent its political party? And if the presidency represents the political party, the presidency would pay allegiance first to the political party and not to the people. Then in a situation where we have the presidency born out of different organizations, not necessarily the political party. It could be a certain group of people. It could be a foreign power that is supporting that presidency. Then that presidency will not pay allegiance, neither to the people nor to the political party, but will pay allegiance to that tiny group of people, say their sponsors, their donors, or the foreign government that is supporting them. If we import this knowledge now into the situation, let's say in Cameroon, the question whether an Anglophone presidency would bring change is doubtful, because it would depend on whom that Anglophone president is representing. But first of all, it's not necessary, or in a normal society, in a well-functioning democracy, the origins or the place of birth of an individual should not determine how that individual functions. Sometimes we say, if it were Bamileke man, if it were Nsungkikang man, if it were Com man, it's going to be A, B, C, or D. Generally, I don't buy that idea, because group classification is unethical. Some people in a group behave completely differently from other people in that group. So an Anglophone presidency may be a sweet term to hear in the ears, but then the question is, how different would an Anglophone from a different tribe perform? I know if we want to look at this historically, we will then be looking at the contribution of the Southern Cameroons to the democratization process in Cameroon. But it comes with a different caveat. Reason is, in 1968, the prime minister or the vice president was representing the Southern Cameroonians. So the vice president had as obligation to represent the interests of the Southern Cameroonians. But as time changed, under the present configuration, where all the power is concentrated in one hand, that person does not represent the interests of the people. The person either represents the interests of the political party or the interests of the foreign supporters. And the way the Constitution has been designed, we're not talking about the system, the way the Constitution has been designed, it gives absolute powers to the president. And if there is this saying that absolute power begets absolute power, once you have absolute power, you want to have only more power. That is the reason why decentralization has failed. The federation was cancelled simply because the president wants more power. Do we think if it were an Anglophone, it was going to be different? If it were Southern Cameroonian, was it going to be different? I think the best example we can employ here is the example of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF. The SDF was founded because there was a problem in the Southern Cameroons, and the founders of the SDF wanted to redeem and resolve the problems of the Southern Cameroons. But once the SDF realized that they could have more power beyond the Southern Cameroons, the SDF moved their objectives from fighting for the Southern Cameroonians to fighting entirely for the presidency of Cameroon. And as time went on, the SDF faded because they moved away from their original objectives. The SDF has been managed exactly like the CPDM. There could be some differences in that management, which could be maybe the name of the party or the leader of the party. But fundamentally, the SDF has been a one-man show, has been a dictatorship. Same like the CPDM. It is John Frundi and his own tiny group of people, or it is not the SDF. That is why you see most of the members of the Social Democratic Front who disagreed with the SDF were either booted, given Article 8.2, or they had to resign. And it left the SDF with that small cocoon. Okay, if this is the SDF now, had the SDF taken over power in 1992, had the SDF taken over power at any time along the line, was the SDF going to manage the country differently than they managed their political party? We are talking about citizens born of the Southern Cameroons, citizens who originate from the Southern Cameroons. So you see, we are putting the SDF situation into a system, into a system of management, into a system of governance, which is telling us that it is not because you are from the Southern Cameroons or because you are an Anglophone that you are going to manage differently. The current dispensation shows that you cannot manage power in Cameroon differently than Paul Biya is doing it.
Thank
so
you.
There is need to look at it from a different perspective.
We'll be coming back to you. Stay on standby. I want to pick on Anye. Anye, are you there with us?
Yeah, Jarvis, I can hear you. I'm here.
My question is, can an Anglophone presidency? Can you get me?
Okay, hold on.
Can you get me? It's similar with the same question that the same question. Can you get me?
Can I?
Yes, I can get you. I can get you. I can get you.
I can hear you.
Yes, the same question I asked.
Call him on WhatsApp.
The same question I asked Galim. I'm asking you. 50 years after national unity, with differences in culture, and do you think that the cultural inclination from the Anglophone perspective will give an Anglophone president a better way of consolidating national unity, taking into cognizance that they are coming from the minority? Do you think that an Anglophone president will be effective in consolidating national unity, promoting good governance and democracy within the country?
Okay, thank you, Jarvis. I think the notion of an Anglophone presidency. Okay, let's start with that. An Anglophone presidency, I suppose you mean someone from the former Southern Cameroons. Now, the problem with that, I think, as Mr. Galem already said, I mean, if we're in the 21st century and we're talking about trying to pick an individual based on, let's say, their geographical region, or maybe based on their tribe. If we're talking about an Anglophone presidency, that it has to, who has to do the selecting? Is it the people? Is it supposed to be a democratic dispensation where such an Anglophone presidency is supposed to emerge, or is it supposed to be appointed by someone? I think that we have to set that, put that initially. Now, in terms of an Anglophone presidency promoting national unity, James, the issue we have in Cameroon is a very disturbing issue. The thing is, we have a system, we have a Jacobin system in Cameroon. You know what, the centralized system that runs the country. You cannot have an effective democracy in such a system. Okay, an Anglophone presidency, I don't understand how, again, it begs my imagination in that, how is this Anglophone presidency going to come about? That's the first thing. The process is as important as the end, okay? And the question of whether this Anglophone presidency is going to change, is going to bring about national unity or whatever the case may be. The case of the issue of national unity is not a mantra. It's a spirit within the people. It's a people who want to live together and who share a common vision and a common goal. Okay, I do not see that. I don't see that spirit. So this national unity, one and indivisible mantra that is being sung, this is not a song. National unity is not a song. It has to come from the heart. It's a spirit of the people that have to drive national unity. And that spirit, I do not see it. I do not see that spirit in this present dispensation, with everything that has happened to the Anglophone community, to Southern Cameroons, with all the massacre and the.
But when you say
such a spirit of unity,
when you say you don't see it, is it not because of the differentiation of culture, and as time has gone on and the cultural inclination from a direct rule to an indirect rule system, two people coming together with two different systems to form national unity, which we are 50 years on? Wouldn't it be advantageous that someone with the indirect rule policy mount the presidency, and from the minority perspective, because culture has a role to play, and help consolidate national unity by drawing out the rubrics that many see as being a push factor away from national unity, that are bringing in on board and consolidating it, promoting good governance and democracy?
Jarvis, if this were the case, this would have been a good thing, right? You remember Mr. Ganem talked about the 1992 election. I mean, if this was a democratic situation, indeed, an Anglophone presidency would have been good because we know the historical context. Okay, British Southern Cameroon was governed by indirect rule by the British, and French Cameroon was governed by assimilation. We know the difference between these two systems. Assimilation is a brutal system. Indirect rule was, the chiefs were used by the British for indirect rule. And there is more consensus and more democracy and more force of argument in the indirect rule system. And such a governance, such a structure permit an effective national unity, because it has to, we have to have a politics of inclusion, okay? Politics of inclusion implies that there is consensus. Okay, you get the opinion. It's not the brutal gendarmes. You get the opinions of minority groups as well as majority group. It's not a, I listened, you know, when the struggle started and we were doing some work, I listened to a soldier. He was saying, he was talking to a friend of mine. He said, this Anglophone, look at what these Anglophones are doing. That if they even look at what they're doing, we can just say we are 80% and they are 20%. That if they even disturb, we can just open the door and let the 80% just, you know, sweep over them. So this is the kind of, this was coming from a soldier, okay? Who was talking to a friend, we just stood there. So this is the kind of idea about the majority, you know, the tyranny of majority. You know, that's what it has been called. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So we have an Anglophone presidency would have been good, but right now we're in a very difficult situation, Mr. Jarvis. We have a people who have a historical background of indirect rule, historical background of democracy. Okay, we were the first. The Southern Cameroon was the first democratic, you can call it a quasi-state in Africa. Okay, we have people who understand the idea of the force of argument, okay, and not the argument of force. And you want to merge this with another system that understands assimilation, brutality. You see, these two systems, they cannot function as one unit.
Okay.
They cannot function as one unit.
We'll be coming back to you.
There have to be autonomy.
We'll be coming back to you.
Okay.
I want to get to you, Mr. Ignatius. We are looking at this context for that. Will an Anglophone presidency help effectively in promoting national unity and also restructuring the system in terms of democracy and good governance? 50 years on, we are coming from a system of indirect rule to a system of direct rule. These two cultures, can an Anglophone minority not effectively consolidate national unity?
Yes, Jarvis, I will begin by, I don't want to look how many the Anglophone should come to power, but I would like to look if the Anglophone is already in power. We are talking something, there's something in Cameroon. Remember our last topic was on the prime ministers, that what have they contributed to the Anglophone. It is because in Cameroon, the president is Alpha and Omega. Everything comes from the presidency. The Anglophones who have been working in the government, if they could not bring a change in the country, if they could not bring that kind of culture that we have, that we like to live like that, then that is what has made the Cameroonians to be feeling that if an Anglophone at the level of the presidency, because that is where that person, because let a president, like we talk in the SDF, like the leader, an Anglophone leader should go there and change things, so that even the next president that will come after him will know that a president is supposed to be a chairperson and not the person that takes decisions and people follow. So if an Anglophone climbs there, he is going to twin things at the level of presidency. We saw something like in the South, when Mandela came to power, they thought that he was going to revenge. He taught the South Africans that it is good to forgive. And he just brought, an Anglophone can just bring just one change, and then he leave power. Then even it happens that a Francophone follows, then that is the change we want. But an Anglophone cannot bring that change as a prime minister or any other ministry. No, when the Anglophone get there, he's going to bring the change. So, for example, the person in the US, he talked something concerning, he made mention of SDF. Let me show you one example. Do you know that SDF has been having infighting because the first objective of SDF was to defend the Southern Cameroonians, but Frundi stood against that idea. Fundi, in one of the rally of John Fundi, he told the people that he has migrated all over the country. He went to the South region, which is where the president is from. Then he saw a warder. A warder is not different from a prisoner. It means that all of them, they look pale. So he was trying to tell the party that this country has a problem which we should fight to solve the problem. All Cameroonians are suffering, not only the Anglophone. That is the kind of mentality that we want, that if somebody becomes a president, he correct it at the level of presidency. He himself should accept to bring down his powers so that the people that will come behind him, they will then follow. There's just one thing. That's where we are talking about. So here, I think our topic, we're not supposed to over-concentrate. How should the president come up? But if it happens that the person at the helm of the country is an Anglophone, what should he do? He's going to do he's going to bring change. Let me bring you some... I would have loved that we had, if we could have any of our Francophone brother with us here. So I would like to tell you that they themselves, the Francophones, know that if an Anglophone takes power in Cameroon, many things are going to change. Because it is in a daily life we have been seeing the differences. So I will quote you one example. When Zacchaeus von Gendam was the general manager of Chanté-Nava, Jarvis have been to Chanté-Nava. In Chanté-Nava, there were two breaks because it's a company that functions 24 hours. There are two breaks. There's break midday, there's break midnight. Then when it is break, work stop, everybody, there was a restaurant that people eat free. There are cooks. You go, people stand on the line. There's somebody sharing plates and spoons. Yeah, they serve, I mean, good quantity you eat. Midday, the same thing, midnight. That is somebody who took a company with a capital of 800 million and he left the company with tens of billions, not a million. So, but before he left, there had been some strike at that company. But I want to ask those people who went on strike when Fonjedam was still the manager of Chanté-Nava, that where Chanté-Nava today? After him, we have seen almost about 6 managers. Even a white man has been appointed there. Things are not moving. And that is the person who proposed when the Mongo Bridge was got bad. He proposed when they were talking of bringing a ferry from a foreign country. That is somebody who proposed that ferry can be fabricated here at the Chanté-Nava and put there. It's not something that we have to go and buy. But you know, in Cameroon, something that concerns a budget, those people who were supposed to follow up were seeing the interest they were going to make from there, and then they made things difficult for him. Those are some of the tests that make us to it is a reality. Okay. You see, when you go, you have been in Douala, go to the hospital, attend. There are hospitals that have branches here like Bingo, branches in Douala and branches in either in the south. Attend a hospital here and then you cross the Mungo. You attend a hospital in the other side. You will know that the atmosphere has changed. So they themselves, please, Jarvis, there's something I would like us to understand. Our brothers, Francophones, should not know. They should not feel that we are here like a balance of power. We want Anglophone to take power. We are not to compare. It is because we believe, we have seen that those people who have been in power are not treating everybody equally. We want
so a minority can better help consolidate.
We have many things to share with you.
Thank you.
Give us the opportunity to share. We have learned many things from you, and we want you to learn from us.
Okay.
Don't feel like we are comparing to climb to the presidency.
Nick Anu, your take. Yes, an Anglophone presidency, do you think it will be very effective in consolidating national unity, good governance and democracy?
Yeah, even though we're talking in a prophetic way.
But it's not time for an Anglophone presidency. It's not time, regardless of which political party.
Yeah, we can say it's time for an Anglophone presidency, but my fear is that how would that be possible from the design of the country? Because the country has been designed in such a way that an Anglophone should never have power in this country. We have seen that from the historical perspective. We have seen how, from history, the Anglophone culture or the Anglophone political ideologies have been trampled upon so that it doesn't emerge. And we cannot say today that an Anglophone, or we cannot hope and think that an Anglophone president will ever be. maybe at least not in this dispensation. Maybe in the future that can happen. But looking at the context of the question that can an Anglophone president bring the meaningful change, maybe of national unity, I really doubt, because within the Anglophone circle there are different categories of Anglophone also. If you bring in the kind of Anglophones that are in power or that are in the ruling government now, and then to make them to be Anglophone president, can they really bring the meaningful change? Well, I don't think so. They are going to just act like the system they are functioning in. To me, bringing an Anglophone president is just like in the scripture, like the Bible says that putting new wine into old wine skins is going to just like burst the wine skin. The system in Cameroon has been designed, is a kind of Jacobinic system that has been designed that no matter how good you are, you can never really bring a meaningful change in that kind of system unless the system is dismantled before a meaningful change can be brought forth. And then also, to me, I don't really buy the idea that bringing meaningful change in any political system should be based on your ethnic or your sociological origins. Because if you compare that kind of ideology into other African countries, you'll see that there have been a lot of failures beyond that. If you go to our neighbor next door, Nigeria, they have believed in that kind of system that the presidency has been designed to either come from the north, the Muslim north, or the south, that's the Yorubas. And if you go to now, if you best yet they have produced the highest presidents. They have not really, and they are buying into this idea that being a president from this kind of region will mean that you'll be a good president. But that has not been the case. In Cameroon, for us to have a meaningful change, we just need to have a president who has good will and good faith. And that has to do with the Cameroonian people. Because the presidency in Cameroon there's a lot of mafia involved. There are a lot of hidden hands involved in who becomes the president. We cannot deny that fact. We cannot deny the fact that the French almost determine who becomes the president of this country. We have to accept all these realities. And will they ever accept that an Anglophone becomes the president of this country? I don't really think so.
But when you say they will not accept, let me take you down history memory lane. In 1992 election, and it was John Fundi who was at the helm, an Anglophone. And if we look at who voted John Fundi, the Francophones voted John Fundi, which was a national election.
Yes.
We go to the bâtonnier at the level of the bar. At the level of the bar, we've had more Anglophone bars president as compared to the French Francophone president. And who voted those Anglophone president? The Francophones. So, which means that there is no those are testable variables which has been proven.
The problem is
it states that an Anglophone can as well win an election in Cameroon.
The problem is that even if we claim that the Francophones voted the Fundi in '92, but the issue is the final result is, was he able to be the president of Cameroon at that time? The issue is no. All of us, people know that we have historical facts that he won the election, but the French were actually an obstacle to him becoming the president of Cameroon at that time. And that's what I'm saying, that being the president of Cameroon doesn't really necessarily depend on the elections. It depends on who is playing the game from behind, who is manipulating what from behind, that we don't see. It is not just all about election. But to me, from the cultural differences, an Anglophone can be, Anglophones have known generally to be better managers than Francophones. They have shown their worth in maybe some state corporations and parastatals that they have managed. We can see the difference, the difference in result. Our fellow panelists mentioned of Chantier Navarre. There are many others area in the country that Anglophones have shown their worth, that they can be better managers than our fellow Francophones. And if you go to maybe the Kondonge, the government officials that have been in prison because of embezzlement and mismanagement of public funds, you are going to see very little Anglophones there compared to our Francophone brothers who have managed the country for so long. I think the difference is just in historical, the cultural differences. We Anglophones we are mindful of managing something not for ourselves but for the future generation. And I think that is what the next president of this country should be.
Okay.
Should have that kind of ideology of managing the country in such a way that whether who is manipulating him from behind or what, the person should have the courage to lay a foundation of managing the country such that for the next generation, not for the next election, that as we have been witnessing.
Fire Elvis Tayon. I want us to come now to the crux of the matter. We are 50 years on after the celebration of the national unity. We just celebrated 50 years of national unity in May 20th. And we are looking at two different cultural contexts here. Within one from the indirect rule and the other from the direct rule. Coming together, Fon Achirimbi said French Cameroon is fire while Nigeria is water, and that it would be unwise to follow the abandoned and secured vessel which did not give us free landing right, than to follow the secured vessel which gives us free landing right at the horizon. In all of this context, now we have two different cultures here. My question I put it to you is that can an Anglophone president help in effectively, I use the word effectively, promoting national unity and integration, good governance and democracy, mindful of their historical past?
They say if wishes were horses, then beggars will ride. It is to tell you that the adage and the topic sounds so interesting to the ears of a daydreamer. But now, in practical terms, we might be able to pick up that if we look at how possible will it be. I have said some time ago when the crisis just started, at the time when His Lordship or Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi was championing the cause for the crisis to come to an end. And I have been able to make several outings by saying that even if you put His Eminence Cardinal Tumi at the helm of the state, it will still not go. It will still not go, for not because he cannot offer it, but because the kangaroo system has been carefully coiled from the period of the colonial masters till date.
So if we put Fire Elvis Tayon,
I said that sometime, even just last week. I said that if you take Fire Elvis Tayon now and put it at the helm of the state, Fire Elvis will not produce the result. This is clear.
So you're saying that
No, I am coming.
Okay.
It is for obvious reason. What are the systems put in place? Do we have separation of power? No. Are we answerable to some persons who determine where we stand? Yes. If you are able to cut the links, the colonial links, it becomes a different ball game.
So if Fire Elvis is, I want us to go practical. If Fire Elvis Tayon is given the mantle as the president of the country, can Fire Elvis Tayon not use that his position to bring in separation of power? You were campaigning for Professor Maurice Kamto. Do you want to tell us that if he had been elected at the time president of the country, though your party still contest the result, let's assume from the government position that if he had been elected, nothing would have changed?
That is why I'm talking first as far as Elvis Tayon. There are two persons we're talking here. In my party is working hard to unseat that kangaroo system. I'm talking as an individual, not because I cannot be president, but because the system first, you need to redo Cameroon. Redoing Cameroon is not a day's job. Because I'm talking about effective. If you tell me that probably can work in promoting national unity, but when you say effective, because effective tells you that it will be something in total, which means that you will not get lapses as you find. Normally, if we take on presidency as Anglophones, you will not expect the best. It will be gradually over time, because to dismantle the kangaroo network is not biscuit. And that's why you realize that for those that they know that if this kind of person's man, they will be able to take some time to change things, they don't even want them to manage at all. That's where the issue comes in. That's why if we talk about the electoral system, why will SGOs and GOs have a say in the organization of elections, while Elecam is sitting there as an umbrella one? Why will Elecam be there when the board members all are ex-officio CPDM members, and they deceive you and tell you that they have resigned from the CPDM?
They resigned before taking
No, they deceive you. I said they deceive. This English is clear. statement on the line. Deceive. I want to take note.
How
deceive?
Deceive?
When I say deceive,
somebody give a resignation letter.
No,
and resign.
It's a good question you are saying. Give the resignation letter that you have resigned and still working under the whims and caprices of the system because it's in the blood is another. Now, if the kangaroo system was serious, they would have been able to make it in a way that people from different strata propose board members, not so, and then they work out a mechanism of picking those board members who must not necessarily be ex-officio members of the Central Committee of the CPDM. It did not work like that. Because if you are saying so, civil society is supposed to be represented in Elekam. The church is supposed to be represented in Elekam. And any other facet or some political party or whatever, so that it gives you a holistic view that these board members represent what it takes for Elekam to do its job and become independent. I will tell you that if government does not disburse, but because Elekam is not independent as per se, because at the time they were crying for, there was the time when their budget delayed coming. They used to have delays because I'm close to Elekam. Now their budget used to have a delay, and when it has a delay, what is the meaning of the delay? Because the delay is a way technically to stifle you, so that you will not be able to move straight ahead above water, knowing fully well that there is a master who supplies that budget. Now, in other modern systems, if you go into Germany or South Africa, once a budget is voted in parliament, it comes, that is, your account is credited automatically when other state institutions are credited in their own account. It's automatic. But if you hear that A has the budget before, then for you, your own is wasting 1 month, 2 months, while workers are waiting for the money to come. It is a technical way to make you know that you have a master and you must dance under the whims and caprices. So what, in effect, what am I saying? If you say that Anglophone can promote national unity to an extent, for the start it can go, but we say effective. Because I say again, it is a whole jigsaw puzzle game that to dismantle the entire kangaroo, which is possible, but it will not be biscuit as per se.
I put it to you that you making it seem like it's difficult and impossible. So
no, not impossible.
Like it's very difficult.
Good
to change the system. But if there is an anticipated election today, and Faye Elvis happens to be the chosen candidate from the Cameroon Renaissance movement, and he wins the election, can Faye Elvis, in his capacity as someone who have monitored the system very well, who understand the fallibility nature of the system and has been contributing actively in political debate on how we can fix the country, can he not be effective in promoting national unity, good governance, democracy, and integration in the country?
I still repeat, the word effective has a problem.
Okay, let's say, can he?
If you say he can, I will tell you yes. Yes, in that he will need to step through many toes, which can even lead to a coup d'etat on sitting the very him. Because we're talking about creating an umbilical cord. How do you explain to me that our foreign reserve is in France? Do you see that normal? And the same France is the one who determines, because if France was not behind, Niger would have been president. But then the question is, if Niger wants to be president, will he not work against the interests of the imperialist? You could now discover that that's why Niger could win, but he could not ascend the throne. Now, the fact that you have to start cutting the umbilical cord does not become overnight. You can do, yes. My problem is the word effectively, because it will take you some time first to cut the umbilical cord, and it will take you procedures to ensure that your reserves that are currently in the hands of a foreigner, being monitored by a foreigner, is brought back to you. Now, if you look at all of this, it means that, one, you should not be that leader who is prepared to embrace coup d'etat at any time. One, you must be that leader who knows that he can be killed at any time, because the French have a history of toppling those.
Cameroon is independent. Now, when you say the French, is like Cameroon is
no.
We celebrate our national day.
It is a kangaroo celebration under the influence of the French.
And every 1st January, gallons are given to military persons, and you say the French.
Cameroon independent is relative.
It's dependent.
French-speaking countries have independence, which is relative. Why do I say so?
Say that now?
I say relative. Look at Cote d'Ivoire. Why was Gbagbo toppled? There was an agreement he had in which he was to take over and move under the colonial policies. Gbagbo accepted because he thought he was wise. And when he took over power and wanted to start cutting the links, he did not know that there is a link between the French embassy and the presidency in Abidjan. He was cocksure. Did he know that they could move in the tunnel from French embassy into the presidency without him knowing? No. And again, when most of your embassies when most of your presidencies are consulted by French, it's not for any reason. You cannot go to France and a foreigner construct.
Okay, now that you know these details, can you, if you are put president, can you not change this?
That's what I'm saying, that it can be changed, but not effectively as you say. I did not say.
Thank you.
So if you can change it, how do you change it? Changing it will mean that first, it will not be effective as from the beginning, but you need a backup. Because if I tell you that Mali is succeeding,
but we are talking about effectivity. We are talking about considering the previous.
The previous means that it can grow. My problem is effective, as you say, because you must meet hurdles.
Okay, thank you.
And sometimes the IMF will want to stifle you because they are the ones who give you kangaroo loans. IMF and all the like. So it's very complex.
Greetings to you, Jarvis, and the crew on board. Is a far-fetched dream for a Southern Cameroonian to, so to speak, to become a president of the country, except that all presidential candidates are from the Northwest, Southwest region or otherwise. We should be talking on other issues. The mentalities are very different, each unique in its own way. If the configurations were equal 5 regions on either side, we could begin the debate from there. Even if there is a transparent elections, each will vote for its own. Let us not lean on the on what transpired in 1992. It is even a proof that even if voted, a Southern Cameroonians can't ever be a free hand, can even be given a free hand to effect whatever change. This is coming from Ndo writing in Bunda. This other one reads, it says, please, the Southern Cameroonian issue has passed the level of sharing positions. How many Southern Cameroonians have been neutralized, and we need our own autonomy, not positions. The union is not helping Anglophones. It's coming from Edwin in Banjul. This other read from Thailand. Franklin from Thailand says, greetings, Jarvis, and the participant. Having an Anglophone as a head of state is important, but not absolute solution, because the main dilemma in the system will all have seen how they have been toiling around with our PMs as head of state. A head of state in the same nature will be no relevance. The Frenchman is naturally afraid of accountability, reasons why they can't declare their asset before taking office of what they plan to steal while in office. Nonetheless, let's keep making our voices heard until we wake up in this nation to benefit of an Anglophone. This is coming from Franklin Franklin from Thailand. And also we have those of you watching us from the different social media platforms. We acknowledge you and your contribution and the debate ongoing in our platform. This it says, good afternoon to you all in the studio. Peter from Tico, this is my opinion. 90% of Anglophones are not concerned with presidency because of the atrocities in the Anglophone region. This one reads, says, good day to you in the studio. Interesting topic there. An Anglophone at the presidency will never resolve the problem. The solution is inclusive, and also with two-party inclusive dialogue, also with two parties. Thank you very much for all those of you who are sending us your SMSs. I want to continue with you, Galim, Bernard Galim. Bernard, are you there with us? Bernard, are you there with us? Okay. I don't know if I can get you, but I want us to situate this in context. We are looking at from two cultural perspectives here. Within the 50 years of national unity, we are looking at direct rule and indirect rule. Wouldn't it be more advantageous in terms of promoting national unity that we at least have an Anglophone president from a different cultural perspective, because culture has a role to play in every walks of life?
Daddy, you're muted. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, Jarvis. Thank you for that question, which falls back to what we have been discussing all along. That's a question of history and a question of culture. We cannot take out the culture and leave the history. We cannot take out the history and leave the culture. But if you're talking about national unity in the historical context, are we looking at the unity between the Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroon as endorsed in 1961, or are we looking at unity between tribes? Historically, there are tribes, and historically there are two states that came together to form a nation. Then, if we want to answer the question of the 50 years of the relationship between the Southern Cameroons and the Cameroon, we have to answer whether the 50 years have influenced those who are aspiring for power. And again, it comes down to the one person, to the individual functioning within a system. We can say as much as we like the Southern Cameroons, we like the indirect rule, we don't like direct rule. But the fundamental question here is, has the 50 years of direct rule influenced the Southern Cameroons? And I will say yes. And if I'm taking the example of the SDF again, I don't want to take the example of individuals. I'm taking the example of institutions that have proven to want to implement the indirect rule, the cultural values of the Southern Cameroons. Let us look at that. The SDF has proven to us that within the current dispensation, based on the historical evolution of the Southern Cameroons and the Cameroons, it is difficult for the indirect rule to be implemented because the system has been tied down in a manner that only permits particular cultural values to progress. I could, if you want to take examples of individuals, I will just ask you, do you think Atanganji, who is minister today, can make a good president? Do you think Atanganji can bring out the values of democracy? Do you think Atanganji can bring out the values of national unity? I don't know what you think, but I would answer in the negative. So we cannot be looking at individuals. We should be looking at the system. Does the current system permit that value of indirect rule to bring about change? And the only way I think this change can be brought about is to recognize the fact that the Southern Cameroons is different from La République du Cameroon. And I was reading the updated manifesto of the United Socialist Democratic Party of Prince Ekoso yesterday, and he brings out this distinction between the Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroon. He advocates for a one country, two systems. The SDF was advocating for federalism, and they still advocate for federalism. But when you look at the attitude of Southern Cameroonians towards the SDF today, you realize that the Southern Cameroonians have shunned the SDF because the SDF has moved away from that cultural value. And this is because the 50 years have changed the SDF. The 50 years have changed the Southern Cameroonians who are in the SDF. The 50 years have made the Cameroonians who are in the Southern Cameroonians who are in the SDF to realize that it is not possible to easily implement your changes or your political strategy. So we cannot keep on talking about an institution within a system without looking at the system. To me, I would recommend that if we want to bring any system that can change any culture, that can change the current system, we need to go back to recognize that there are two people that came together and that constitute this system. Therefore, if the representative of the Southern Cameroonians knows that he is representing the Southern Cameroons anywhere he is, he can easily advocate for the Southern Cameroonian culture and not rely entirely on the current system or the people that put him there. Thank you, Jarvis.
Galim, I don't know if you're listening to me, but I want to find out. I don't know if you're getting me. Are you getting me? I don't know if you're getting me. Anyway, I'll come back to you. Let me get to Anye. I'll come back to you, Mr. Ngalim. Let me get to Anye to find out also about the position of. Anyway, I'll come back to you. Let me get to Anye. I'll come back to you, Mr. Ngalim. Let me get to. There's an echo. There's an echo from Ngalim. Position of. Anyway, Anye, I don't know. I want to find out this. If you think that a lot of this fallout from the Anglophone crisis has come because a lot of people see that there was no good governance, were kind of lacking somewhere, and also they felt that democracy was lacking somewhere, and that's why there was revindication of people coming back to say, hey, let's go back to the federation, let's look at the 2 states, let's look at 10 states, let's look at confederation, and some are even talking about let's look at an outright separation. It's because of good governance. Now, if an Anglophone president come in with such a mindset of adjusting things effectively, will that person not be an effective president in promoting national unity? Let's say you are made the president now of Cameroon. I don't know. Let's say you are made the president now of Cameroon.
Okay, Jarvis, thank you for that question. I think the idea of a single, I think we have this attraction towards some sort of waiting for the Messiah. The idea that a single individual would come and change the whole, a single individual, let's call this individual an Anglophone. A single individual will come and change the whole system. A system that has been in place for, I don't know, more than 50 years. That cannot happen overnight, and it's not going to be an individual. It's going to be a team of very serious and effective people. Yes. Okay. The idea that exactly what you said is right. The idea of bad governance that we had. So many people have mentioned this. The Dr. Christopher Foreman, you hammered on this. This is an issue. He saw it as an issue of governance. He has hammered on this on so many occasions. This is an issue of bad governance. Okay, there are so many people that have expressed this idea of governance. So again, the idea that a single individual can change the system overnight, it's not going to happen. Now, presently, right now, they're talking about the Nigerian, the presidential elections. It's coming up in Nigeria in 2023, and they're talking about, as a single individual. Yes, this individual might have a good team that might come and change the whole system, but we are looking at it, and it's coming up. So again, it's perhaps it could be that maybe if one effective leader, because if it starts at the top, and then an effective leader who has a vision for the country, that leader might be an Anglophone. If that is the case, then this effective leader with an effective team, with people that have the ideals of democracy, ruling by consensus, getting in inclusivity, not a politics of exclusion, a politics of inclusion. Okay, getting in ideas and seeing how you can push the country forward. That would be a good thing. But this idea that a single group of people know it all, okay, they have the guns and the goons, the Abraham tanks, that they can do whatever they want to do with the masses. That is the reason why we are where we are today.
Okay.
I think that is it. So I don't know if you can hear me.
I'm getting you.
I can't hear you. The audio. I think I've seems to have lost the audio.
Yes, I can get you effectively, and I will be coming back to you.
So am I on?
Yes, you have been on since. I could get you. I could get you effectively. I was getting you effectively.
Hello?
Yes, I'm getting you.
I don't seem to be getting the audio.
What I'm saying is
What
I'm saying is I was getting you effective, and I was getting you 5 on 5. And I got all what you said. So maybe briefly, so if you are made the president of Cameroon today, will you not ensure good governance and also democracy, which will culminate to national unity? Because good governance and democracy are the pyramid of national unity.
James, that is right. Good governance and democracy, they are very important for national unity. But for us to have democracy, okay, I think it was Dr. George Aite that outlined 5 pillars for an effective democracy. 5 pillars. We need a separation of power. Okay. First of all, the masses. You need the masses. You need the masses of the people. They have to be politically informed. There has to be an intellectual reform. the people themselves have to demand accountability from their leaders. It's not always that, this idea of patronage, okay? Patronage and just going with whatever they give you, they cannot demand accountability. So you need a mass that is there has to be an intellectual reform. There has to be political reform, okay? The opposition has been lagging behind. The opposition needs to come together. From all the opposition, they need to come together. Look at Cameroon. There's not, apart from the 1992 opposition that was strong and made some changes. There's been no effective opposition from that time. So the opposition has to come together. Okay.
We're coming back to you.
Thank you, JV. So that has to be the case.
Yes, Ignatius. When you look at the current context of governance and democracy, a lot of people are stating that the Anglophone crisis, I'm sure Fire Elvis and Nick will agree with us that most of the pyramids of where the Anglophone crisis emanated is because of good governance. And so, an Anglophone president now, Anglophones are reivindicating that because of this, they want federal system which should give them the ability to establish governance and democracy. Now, if an Anglophone now is picked as a president, regardless of which political party, should we not be advocating that political party should have an Anglophone as a president so that we can have good governance and democracy, effective good governance and democracy?
That is exactly what I was saying from the beginning. Remember, we have been talking about an individual. We are talking an individual because now it is an individual who manages the country. It is one-man show. It becomes impossible for those institutions to function when the country is one-man show. We want somebody who will start from that one-man show and then bring things into the democratic way. So for that person to change things in the way we want, that person must go at the level of the presidency, as we were saying here. Let that president not be the one that will even dictate to his party, because right here, even in the ruling party, because we know that it is likely the president always likely have a majority in the parliament. But let the ruling party, let the president not be the one that will dictate to his party, to the majority in the party, because here we are Cameroonian. We see that when a bill comes from the presidency, it is always possible that that bill will be validated. That is what we are talking about. Individual is not going there to sit and take decision, but that will start the change. Let me start from where Mr. Fa brought an idea here, which is something I shared with him. You see, I have once said here one time that when a river is polluted, you see some aquatic organisms will die, but there are some organisms that will resist the poison, the pollution, and live inside. For example, there are fish. There can be a fish that will resist the pollution and live inside the water. But when you take that fish and eat, you are poisoned. But the fish is surviving. I'm trying to compare it to the system, the Elvis kangaroo. You see, 50 years gone, it has frustrated Cameroonians to a level which they become used to the system. Which means that any president that will come to power now, as we are talking about an Anglophone, I'm very sure that that president, the highest thing he would do is one mandate. He will rule only one mandate. Because he's going to face, just like Elvis is saying, he's going to face tough resistance. The late Charles Akeba, Ayene, they asked me a question whether if you become president today, what will you do? He openly said that he cannot be a president because if he become a president today, Cameroonians will go to the street to protest against him, because when he want to bring the effective the transparency, as we are talking here, things are going to be very difficult for him. So that's why we are saying that Cameroonians, imagine a president who will come today and make things in a way that custom officers will live only on their salary. He's going to be the worst.
And
that is where he's going to be.
As we speak now, nobody knows what it takes to actually bring a container from the port.
So that is why we are saying. But Javid, I'm saying that we need that person that will start from there. Either he is voted out or in any other way. When he starts from there, others will come and follow. Okay. Yeah. So you see, the topic is now trying even to bring in another debate that is saying that can Anglophone be a president in Cameroon with the present political atmosphere? I say yes.
Of course.
I say yes. if I don't know if you come, you give me back the microphone. Okay.
You seemingly don't have that belief that an Anglophone can be president of Cameroon looking at this current political dispensation. But is it not for the interest of national unity, integration, that an Anglophone be the third president of this country? Yeah, let's be honest.
Yeah, it is a popular opinion even among Francophones that they wish that an Anglophone should maybe be the next president of Cameroon. But if judging from the fact that from what we are seeing,
why do we sound pessimistic? Is it not a call for concern? Should we not be advocating for this? Should we not be telling people that it is time for the? Why do we put that like it's impossible?
If you want an Anglophone to be president of Cameroon, at least there should be some indication. There should be indicators for you to judge that maybe from this gesture, an Anglophone can become the next president of Cameroon. If you look at the Anglophone crisis, that should give you an indication that an Anglophone can become the president of Cameroon. But looking at the way the Anglophone crisis is managed, it just shows that the Anglophone is considered as nothing. If you look at even the last session of Parliament in March, there were some rumors that they were trying to vote a bill to create a post of vice president will be an Anglophone. We saw that was just kind of testing the ground. If you look at the way the CPDM government functions, they were just trying to test the ground to sip up the opinions of Cameroonians on that kind of topic. If you look at the way the state paraphernalia is managed, the Anglophone is the fifth in command as the protocol of the state is concerned. Anglophone occupies the fifth position. If there were some indication or there were some future plans that an Anglophone can be the president of this country, at least the person will not come from the blues to be the president.
Oh,
at least
is it not
yeah, the person there should be some indication that at least maybe an inclusive governance that we take into consideration the two cultures that came together. But looking at the way the government is functioning now, they don't even have that kind of ideology in mind that they can even bring Anglophone closer to be the president of this country. I don't actually have that faith that an Anglophone can become the president of this country in this present dispensation.
The prime minister of this country is an Anglophone.
Yes. Who is the fifth in command?
You cannot say the fifth.
He's the fifth.
We have the president.
Yes.
We have the Senate president.
Yes.
We have the Speaker of the House of Assembly.
Yeah. You have the president of the Constitutional Council.
We have the president of the Constitutional Council.
Yes.
Economic Council.
Economic and Social Council.
So
it's like the sixth position. Yes. So it's like this.
But the prime minister is the head of government. So the Anglophone is an Anglophone that's manning the government.
You cannot call him the head of government.
No, it's an Anglophone that's manning the government. It's the head of government.
He's not the head of government. He was appointed alongside other ministers. So I don't really. Maybe an Anglophone presidency can function in a bicultural federal system.
Okay,
an Anglophone presidency can function, but not in this kind of unity hyper-centralized system. It cannot really function like that.
An Anglophone is the head of government. We should not argue that. An Anglophone is the head of government. And the Minister of Territorial Administration said it. That was when the conflict started. That the head of state has high-placed confidence on Anglophones. That is why in the past 40, 50 years, an Anglophone has been the president of this country, the prime minister of this country. And that is why also the custom, he said custom of contributions of budget is an Anglophone. And so why do we feel like an Anglophone can never be president? Well, even at the level of the Bar Council itself, Anglophones have had more presidents than Francophones within the Bar Council. Voted by Francophone colleagues. So don't we think that an Anglophone can vote 5 Elvis Tayon? Don't you think that a Francophone can vote 5 Elvis Tayon? Don't you think that a Francophone can vote Nick Anu? Don't you think that a Francophone can vote Ignatius, can vote Tah Jarvis? Depending on how effective we say our ideology. 5 Elvis, you are the deputy minister of the Cameroonian movement. It's because of the high confidence they had in you. So don't you feel that people can also see an Anglophone as someone who can give meaningful change and bring democracy in Cameroon? 5 Elvis.
I first of all like the way you mentioned It has to do with quoting names of government officials.
Mr. Paul Atanga is not just any kind of government
yes.
Come on, tell Minister of Territorial.
That's why I enjoyed the way you took your time quoting them as exemplary Anglophones who are occupying positions in the government that matter. The question now is, what impact have they been able to do to squash down the current quagmire we have? Do they have the local standings as per se to say this thing comes to an end and it comes to an end? I should remind you that during the periods when we had the Prime Minister, His Excellency Peter Mafane Musonge, we had a director of IRIC at that point in time who humiliated the Prime Minister at that point in time. I'm sorry to tell you that. Why? Because when students came in to write, they came in about 5 minutes late and the gate was closed at 7. And because he understood the worries of the people, the complaint got to him and he ordered the director at that time to let the students come in, and the director said, "C'est moi qui ai chef ici, c'est pas toi." And the story ended. Maybe we have to remind you that several government officials have spoken contrary to the Prime Minister. In the current crisis, Prime Minister at the point in time was saying one when Mr. Tangaji was in at RFE, giving another grammar. If I start quoting the things, he will sleep. So it's to tell you that these positions, what is the impact of these positions to the current issue of national unity?
Head of government.
I will tell you that the PM as a person is a good person because I know him personally. I mean, as a person, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute is an excellent human being.
And could make a good president.
No, I'm still coming. If I told you in the course of this discourse that if you take His Eminence Kadatumi and put there, he will not deliver, then what about the PM? It tells you that there is a system that dismantling it is not biscuit. That is why even the issue of Mr. Tanganji up and down, why did they put you at the Minister of Territorial Administration? Then they fragment the ministry. It was this administration. Now they remove one power and keep aside and then put the minister. You think we are fools? Your own things that we are goats. They don't know we are very intelligent than them. Because anything they give to us, the powers are squashed down.
But the same minister controls all the governors, the divisional officers, the senior divisional officers, the traditional authorities.
Let me tell you,
the Prime Minister is the head of government.
The fact that there was a minister who occupied that position, who controlled even up to local councils, and even regional councils were under his tutelage if they were to exist at that time. And now, this other system of government is not under, it has been removed away from you. Controlling governor and SA does not mean that you are overall. Because it's a whole system. It is a whole system that you must be able to act on a linkage as far as the administrative hierarchy is concerned. Now, if we look at it, we keep telling people that what have these persons you have mentioned? Because as a person, they could be good. But is a system guaranteeing them to offer or to work in their free will? No. Because I tell you that there are directors in this country. For example, let me get to the point. Do you think that the Prime Minister of Mr. Tangaji can easily control the General Manager of Sonora? The Tutunas Ministry that controls Sonora is water and energy. But the Director General of Sonora has more influence at the level of presidency than the minister, which is his Tutunas Ministry.
I don't say that because the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister, we're told, and by the Constitution, is the head of government. And also coordinate all the Minister of Mines and Energy, all the ministers.
That's why I've told you that there are ministers that are heady. There are ministers who don't toe the line. I can begin to coordinate if you like, in terms of the governance of the Prime Minister, and he knows. But the question now is, one person thinks that he's attached to one man than the other, and therefore can take the decision of the Prime Minister today or not. Now, how do you explain that Peter Bafani Musonga is the head of the Bilingualism Commission? But you still get communicators that move out and they don't even explain the aspect of bilingualism. The case goes to nowhere. We are in a kangaroo system, I must tell you that. And that is why it is an issue of he who is closer to the lion man controls the deal. You have been surprised that you could be a minister and there's a one sub-director in an office in Yaoundé who can cause even your job because he's linked to the lion man far than you are. Let me take you now to the gendarmerie sector. I am talking with evidence on the ground. You have gendarmerie brigades whereby they are manned by Anglophones as the commandant of the brigade. But the assistants are not Anglophones. But the assistants wield enormous power in terms of report to the hierarchy, even than the commandant of the brigade or the head of the brigade unit. How do you explain that? That I am a commandant of the brigade and I have an assistant, but the assistant has more influence because the assistant acts as a check and balance on my move. So any move I take, if it's not moving well, you only hear a call letter coming from someone because the assistant has reported that I have done this, I have done that. Whereas the area, which is my hierarchy, is supposed to hear from me and not from my assistant commandant of the brigade. So these are examples I tell you that we are only on a window dressing situation. If we want to talk about Anglophones manning the presidency, my problem is not whether they can man. My problem is the system put in place. Can it warrant them to give that effective national unity that I talk about? That's why I say it's another ball game for another day and for another debate for another day because to dismantle that particular network. Because today, the kind of Anglophones is which kind of Anglophone? Yaude can sit one day and tell you that, okay, tomorrow, Professor Ngole Elvis is the next president of this country. You describe even the Anglophone at that kind of place will be worse than you start saying better Biya come back. You say better Pobia should come back because the Anglophone that we put there, statistics has proven that most of the Anglophones who have been given power to control us have become worse than the Francophones. I will tell you in the English speaking areas that most of the problems I have, the military personnel who bail me out are Francophones, are not even Anglophones. I tell you, they are listening and they are watching. I mean, those who bail me out are French speaking, even the Anglophones, and yet he knows that I'm Anglophone as an Anglophone. So imagine now if you take a kind of Anglophone with question mark and put it as president.
Thank you.
We are finished. It means the republic has gone wild and in fact in disorder.
So from this advocacy, from what you say, it means that the status quo should maintain.
No, the status quo should not be maintained. It is that we must rise up as one man to dismantle the entire kangaroo. I say, if you don't dismantle, Mr. Jarvis, if they put you president today, don't be surprised that you want to tar a road in Gelemonduka. I'll tell you wait first.
I will change it.
You want to tar a road in
I will
Menchu.
change it because I've listened to 5 years. I know the challenges the state have. I will take 5 years challenge if I have.
Your challenge you are talking is correct. But the next question is, if you are man, if you are put as an Anglophone, who has put you there? Because somebody must put you there.
But I will change it. Even if you put
and if somebody puts you there, the person begins to monitor your movement. So we need to redo Cameroon.
Thank you.
Yaoundé here. If you want Cameroon to move well, all of you go on leave. They begin the country from square one. If not, we are wasting our time.
Gali, we are out of time. Your last word before we go. You have muted yourself.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk here, Jarvis. I think when we talk about power to change things, we're looking at political power here. And the lesson we should take home is that power is not given. You know, good governance means power, and power is not given. Power is taken. And there are different ways of taking power. In 1992, we saw how people stood up, took power, but military power, the government used military power to overshadow them. In 2015, we saw lawyers and teachers on the street, and that metamorphosed into a war today in the southern Cameroon. So there are different ways of taking power, but if people don't take power, nothing will change. And if people keep hoping that a Messiah is going to come to redeem them from the claws of dictatorship, from the claws of bad governance and lack of democracy, human rights violations, then nothing is going to change.
Okay.
Power is taken, and people should start thinking about taking power and stop hoping that an Anglophone or a Southern Cameroonian will take power and things will change. If a Southern Cameroonian of the CPDM takes over power, he is going to work according to the dictates of the CPDM. If a Southern Cameroonian of the SDF takes over power, he's going to work according to the dictates of the SDF.
Thank you.
If a Southern Cameroonian takes power because he has the backing of France, the United States, or whosoever, that person is going to work according to the dictates of the person supporting them. So if power needs to come back, if power needs to serve the interests of the people, that power must come from the people, that power must be given to the people, and that power must resonate with the people. It should not be an individual. Messiahs don't save people. A Messiah simply becomes a dictator along the line. You can see as much as the Southern Cameroonians going on, those who were believed to be Messiahs and now those hurting the people. So power is not given, power is taken. And when the power is communal, it helps a lot of people. Thank you so much, Jarvis.
Yeah, thank you. Anya, we are out of time. Briefly, your last word before we go. We are out of time. Extremely out of time. Briefly, your last word. Way forward. You have muted yourself. You have muted yourself.
I think if yeah, so the way forward is that, I mean, the leaders in Yaoundé, okay, from the prime minister, from the president to all the leaders, should be able to compromise, should come to, I've written about this, they should come to a compromise, okay, with the leaders on the Anglophone side, okay. We have those that are abroad, those that are in the country, from human rights, from human rights, the Agbobalas, to those using arms, the Dr. Chose and the rest. We have to come to a compromise. It might be a compromise that, like Dr. Nick talked about, a confederation, okay? We have two systems. We can have one country, two systems. Autonomous. These systems must be autonomous, okay? That is a plausible way forward. Not this thing of getting into people's Njangi and appointing the Njangi president. It doesn't work like that. That is not an effective way to do it. Okay. So I think the way forward is to be able to foster some sort of unity, if it's possible. If it's still possible, again, it has to be a case of compromise. So if it's still possible that we can foster some sort of unity, it has to be two systems, two autonomous, independent systems where they're allowed to.
We're out of time.
Where they're allowed to push forward. Okay.
We're out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thank you very much. Also, Ignatius, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Once more, good afternoon. I will end by saying that in Cameroon, if we really want things to go well, this mentality of feeling superior over some other people should cease. Let us understand that God created all with different mentalities. It is these different mentalities that are put together for a great nation to be built. I read somewhere in a fan club, or what is a fan on social media, somebody said that they are talking about that power. Let us give power to an Anglophone and give him just one mandate and see what he will do. That is already, that statement is a statement of marginalization. So it means that he himself already feel that these people are not supposed to have power. Let us test and see whether they can do. There's no superior human being.
Thank you, Tah Mai Jarvis. And I still believe that there are some situations where political measures can change political system. We saw examples like the Magofolis. We are seeing examples like in Rwanda with Kagame. If we can have those kind of people in Cameroon, the system can change. They can dismantle the system and build a system for the future, not for the present. The present system has failed, and we continue to fail if we sit and fold our arms and do nothing. And the future will even be worse than what we are seeing today.
Evis Tayong, thank you for coming. I just pity as you were going back looking at the Bonaberi double traffic.
Yes, that is what the kangaroo persons have made us to live. And they want to bring bags of rice and Maggi to come and deceive us. It will not work this time around. Because if I even hear somebody voting those in power now, if I have you around me, 12 strokes on your back, because it means that you are more than the devil. Because what we are going through...
No, you cannot equate this the democracy now.
Democracy in a devilish manner means it's a devil.
It's the democracy.
Yes, I am saying that.
Choose whoever you want.
If we can choose whoever we are,
give them that they are devil because
do they even practice democracy? These people in Yaoundé,
we have advanced democracy.
These guys keep stealing elections every day and making people to suffer.
One minister say we have advanced democracy.
The minister should go and sit down, my friend.
Democracy to US, UK, China, and the rest.
They want to tell us that they know democracy more than where it's coming from. It is a sham. Let me tell them that we are now up from sleep. Any minister who brings police to open the road for you to pass, next time you will trek from Bonaberi, you will trek from Wrong Point to Bikoko, then you give me the grammar way get back to Yaoundé. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fai Evis. Thank you, Nick Anu. Thank you also Ngalim for coming. Thank you very much also Anye for coming. We want to acknowledge your contributions. We understand that we have 2 different time zones, and you guys must have cut your sleep, and we want to appreciate you for participating. We hope to see you. Keep the debate on the House of Commons WhatsApp group. If you want to be a panelist on our program, get to me on the numbers on your screen, 676431384. I will include you in the general WhatsApp group, and also I will give the topic. If you are interested in the topic, you can be a panelist in our program. What matters is your matter. My name is Tah Mai Jarvis from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, Fengudong, Bange. Hope to see you on Sunday, same time.